A quick note, the Sandy K Inner Circle is finally open. This has been years in the making, my private women-only community. Live Q&As, exclusive episodes, real conversations you won't find anywhere else. $47 Canadian a month. Link is in the show notes. Now let's dive into this week's episode. Hi, everyone. It's me, Sandy Cruz. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. For many years now, I've been a trusted voice for people in midlife and beyond who want a deeper, more honest conversation about wellness. One that includes the physical, the emotional, the mental, and the esoteric. Most episodes are solo now because I want to bring you thoughtful research, lived experience, and grounded insight without noise or bias. And when I do bring on a guest, it's because their work genuinely adds something meaningful to the conversation. Here, we explore the full spectrum of what it means to be well, how the body functions, how the mind heals, how the spirit expands, and how all of these layers shape life lived with clarity and joy. Thanks for being here. And if this show resonates with you, please follow, rate, review, and share it. It truly helps the message reach more people. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Sandy K Nutrition, Health and Lifestyle Queen. Today, I'm going to go where nobody I've seen has gone before. This podcast is called The Great Unmasking 2026 as the year of disclosure. Now, what does that mean? I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break down how you can support yourself up to the end of this year. And I'm also going to tell you that I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to connect the dots between psychology, sociology, energy, intuition, history, and a little bit of astrology, because I don't know if anybody has actually looked at this in a holistic perspective, which I do. But I'm going to try and actually connect all the dots between what is happening in this world. I'm not going to get into deep politics here. I'm going to touch on it. I am not a believer in astrology as a tool of complete prediction. You can't do that. I'm also not a believer in health and wellness as it pertains to looking at the body in silos. So that's why I'm recording this, because this podcast, it's not that easy to do, but I'm going to try and do it. And I would love to hear your feedback, because I'm going to kind of try and connect everything. And then also connect how we can support ourselves in our own little micro world, in this world of macro that is, when you look at the world as a whole, it's pretty corrupt. There's a lot of bad shit happening. So before I begin, I am going to ask you to stay with me to the end, because I am going to give you some potential tools that you might resonate with, just to make you feel a little more at ease in this world, in your own skin, in your own life. So many have heard this 2026 is the year of disclosure, but there's been a lot leading up to it. I'm going to get into that as well. So I'm going to ask you to hit subscribe wherever you are listening right now. I have a lot of people that listen or watch on YouTube and they don't subscribe. So I'm going to explain to you my background and maybe you'll subscribe. I am a registered holistic nutritionist. I am also a certified metabolic balance coach. I believe in science and soul. I never believe in this whole body as a side, like, components and health and wellness. Only look at this or only look at that or only look at this. I believe we're such complex humans with so many different layers. And that's what my podcast is about. I've been in this space for over 6 years. And this year I decided to go more solo because I've seen a lot of what I'm going to talk about today. A lot of I'm not going to use the word corruption. In some cases, yes, corruption, but a lot of things happening that are without integrity. I see that podcasts have become celebrities taking over the space. I'm not one, clearly. I am a woman with a purpose and a soul where my whole purpose is to make this world a better place, period. I am a woman with a hero's journey. My daughter at the age of 5 had cancer. I had cancer a year later. I went back to college. I'm an English literature graduate, but this is my soul. This is my megaphone. It's my way to actually try and make this world a better place. So wherever you are listening, when you hit subscribe, that actually helps my podcast to be seen by more people. So that helps my voice help others. So please hit subscribe. Follow me on all of my social media channels. I am Sandy K Nutrition everywhere. I am going to have this Apple Podcasts $10 a month to support me and my work. And that is actually going to take you deeper into topics. And I can't go that deep here on this platform. That is if I decide to make this free content. I might put this in my $10 a month because this is going to be that useful. So topics that are going to be that useful will hit that $10 a month subscription in Apple. So if you subscribe, that helps me even more. Go to my Substack, Sandy Cruz, SandyKruse.substack.com. The links will be there. I am starting the Sandy K Inner Circle. Remember, I used to be a wellness coach. I used to be a health coach. I used to work directly with clients. Now my focus is this megaphone. So the Sandy K Inner Circle at Substack will actually give you everything and more. And once a month, you'll have a Q&A with me, basically like a group coaching session in addition to being part of this exclusive community with exclusive podcast episodes. So that's $47 Canadian a month. I've also created my own Etsy shop where some of my favorite sayings, like I have a t-shirt I just created, and you'll find some of that there. All of my links are below. So please support me, however, whichever way you can. If you can't, just keep listening to my free content and share it. Share it with a friend. Give me a review on Apple. Okay, enough of that. Now, let me get into this podcast episode because this is a big topic. I explained that I'm going to look at this as the Great Unmasking because I see a lot of people who are really in the silos, and people still work in these silos of, esoteric or a lot of politics or psychology only. And I'm going to try and piece it all together and talk about how 2026 is really the year of disclosure. So, to kind of summarize that, if you've been living from the premise whereby your foundation is not solid, it's going to crumble. And we've been seeing some of that over the last couple of years. A lot of the things that don't support integrity, truth, if you're just all about the money, and there's nothing underneath that money, well, all of that's coming to crumble in the end of 2026. This is not me being a visionary. I am a visionary. And I do have strong intuition and I do have a lot of power within me, but a lot of these thoughts are fragmented thoughts from thought leaders in the space of wellness, body, mind, spirit, soul. But I'm putting it all together because I see it so fragmented. So Really, you can't understand what's happening now by listening only to astrologers, only to intuitives, only to political analysts or psychologists or economists or just the spiritual teachers. We need all of it together in collaboration, in conversation to see the full picture. That's what this episode is about. A whole system explanation of why the world looks the way it does right now, why everything is erupting. You think it's erupting all at once, but actually, it's been a few years. And how many times have you heard life has not been the same since COVID, right? How many of your friends have said that? God, life was so great before COVID. Life was so wonderful before the pandemic. Started a little before that, my friends. So 2026 is the year of disclosure. And what I want you to do is, yes, you might look at this from a political sense, you might look at this, but I want you to look at this from a holistic perspective of the world. And then I want you to zoom in on your life, your friendships, your connections, your business, everything. So you're going to go out and then you're going to zoom in. Okay. So, a phrase that has been used by some of the most respected voices of this era. And, these are really visionaries. Bashar, what's his name? Daryl Anka. Bashar, he channels Bashar. He has spoken for decades about a frequency shift. So you might not believe in that. There's so much going on about quantum energy, entanglement, frequency shifts, jumping timelines. Go look it up. Lee Harris, who I've been following for a while, he called 2024 to 2026 the era of truth waves. Okay. So everything that's been bubbling underneath is erupting. We've seen that. I'm going to get through it. So Pam Gregory, who has repeatedly said by the end of 2026, nothing lacking integrity will remain hidden. Then, there's a lot of these astrologers who will say, Pluto in Aquarius is the great reveal. Just basically, these are all different languages, but the same message. And here's the thing that most people miss is that disclosure isn't just global, it's also personal. So that's why I told you to zoom in. You're going to look out and then you're going to zoom in on your life. So the same forces collapsing institutions are also collapsing relationships. The same forces exposing corruption are exposing your own patterns. The same forces dismantling celebrity culture are dismantling the masks that people wear in everyday lives. And this actually didn't start in 2026. It didn't start with Pluto entering Aquarius. You'll hear a lot of that with the astrologers. And it didn't start with celebrity collapse or political exposure. It started slowly and quietly. The first global mirror, which I mentioned already, was COVID. And it was global and it was a big, big exposure. And it's been building ever since. So by the end of 2026, you will see more truth in your life than you've ever seen before. Not because, you weren't ready, but because the world wasn't ready. So this is the year where secrets are going to surface if they haven't already. Because remember, if you look at Lee Harris, he said this began in 2024. Okay. So secrets surface, motives reveal themselves, relationships show their real foundation. People's true character becomes very obvious. Anything built on illusion falls apart. Anything built on integrity will become stronger. This is not chaos. This is coherence, clarity, and correction. This is disclosure, my friends. And today I'm going to show you how the world got here, why it's happening now, what it means for you. scientifically, psychologically, spiritually, and energetically. So, the real beginning was the COVID first, the global mirror. So, COVID didn't just divide people politically, it divided people energetically. There was rumblings before this, but this is like the big one. So, the stillness that we all experienced during the pandemic, it revealed the truth. It revealed to you who thinks independently, who collapses into fear, who numbs, who manipulates, and who self reflects. So, COVID was the first crack in the illusion of trustworthy systems. People began to see the world is not what I thought. So, there were earlier cracks before the collapse. Look at the Epstein and Trump stuff. I don't want to get into a lot of it. I don't get into a lot of it. And I will say, I'm proud of being such an individual thinker. And I research and I analyze everything and what makes sense. So there are certain things I won't go deep on because they're too dark and I don't need to. And there are a lot of people who go so deep that they drown in all that darkness. Okay. So Epstein exposed the scale of corruption and the Boys Club Protection Network. This is big. This is a big theme. And I'm going to talk about this more. Trump exposed the illusion of elite immunity and institutional fragility. So these weren't scandals, they were systems of a deep, deep rot. They showed the public this goes all the way, okay? All the way. It leaks everywhere. So, what's actually collapsing? The illusion based world. So, define the system clearly built on money as identity. So, if your identity is built on money, who are you before you had money? Who were you? Did the money build you, or did life's experiences, integrity, growth, self reflection, self awareness, did that build you, or was it the money? I'm pausing because I want you to think about that. Did the system clearly, was it built on performance instead of authenticity? Built on secrecy instead of transparency? Built on a hierarchy instead of humanity? Built on optics instead of integrity? Built on PR instead of truth? Built on the boys' club instead of accountability? This is not the world collapsing. This is the world built on illusion collapsing. Let's get into the boys' club because I'm sure you all know what I'm talking about. The boys' club is actually a global operating system behind everything. It's not a group of men, it's a pattern. The architecture behind political corruption, Hollywood abuse, celebrity protection networks, financial fraud, religious cover ups, influencer pay to play. This is big. Pay to play. Behind every massive influencer, there's a pay to play model. There's even a documentary. They've made two now. And everybody who's a part of it paid to be a part of it, as opposed to being called upon and getting paid because they're incredible, they're amazing on their own merit. Media manipulation. I've done this myself. I did not realize that I was not specially chosen to be written up in an article. I was like, oh my God, what an honor it was to be asked to have an article written about me. Okay, I got to pay a few $100. Okay, I'll do that. Then I realized I kept getting more and more and more messages. Hey, 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 pay this and we'll write an article about you. We're going to make you big. You just have to pay this. There's something very wrong about that. I did it once. I won't do it again. I want to take a quick moment to tell you about something I created just for you. If you love what I talk about on this podcast, the hormones, the thyroid, the gut, the labs, the whole body, mind, spirit, and soul conversation, there's a place where we can get so much deeper than I ever could on this public feed. It's called the Sandy K Inner Circle, my private women-only community. Every month, you get a live Q&A with me on Zoom. Real questions, real answers, no scripts, no filters, nobody telling you that this must be done a certain way, just open discussions. You also get an exclusive episode nobody else hears, a practical download you can actually use, and access to our private women-only Facebook community where wide open, honest discussions happen on every topic. No agendas, no noise, no bias, no trendy health advice from people who pay for their platforms. Just real, honest conversations you won't find anywhere else. Founding member spots are limited, $47 Canadian per month. Link is in the show notes, sandycruz.substack.com. For women only, I would love to see you inside. Then there's also corporate misconduct. This is the architecture. The core rules of the boys club is protect the powerful, silence the truth teller, punish the whistleblower, rewrite the narrative, and maintain the illusion. And everything is connected, my friends. So let's talk a little bit about celebrity and influencer collapse. Celebrity culture was built on PR, gatekeeping, secrecy, image controls, fake relationships, staged whatever walks, bought followers, purchased magazine covers. I just told you about my situation. I did it once. I didn't know. But I'm telling you now, any major magazine with an article is simply an ad that's been paid for. Then there's ghost written expertise, fake activism, influencer grift. The public now sees this. They see this. We all see it. The illusion economy is collapsing because the frequency in the world no longer supports this inauthenticity. Okay, I don't know. Listen, I watch The Real Housewives because I find it really like fun and relaxing and just no brain required, and it helps me turn off. And I'm like, you watch a lot of that and you're like, whoa, just so much fakery there. The world is. So let's get into money-based identity collapse. People who built their identity on money, status, optics, and performance are going to struggle if they haven't been struggling already. Not because money is bad, but because money without integrity has no foundation. It's nothing. You're nothing. If you're not built on some sort of foundation, your essence, your soul, who you are, the money means nothing. Often they numb, avoid, bypass, manipulate, and refuse self-reflection. Their collapse is self-created because they never built an internal identity. Now I'm going to get into a little bit of the astrology, not because I believe that astrology can predict everything. However, there are certain patterns, and I say this all the time. If you feel like whatever is out in the atmosphere has no effect on you, you may want to reflect on that thought. And the reason is, you know, if you look back on that ship that was stuck in the Suez Canal and they had to wait until the moon was full for the tide to go down, The moon can move tides. It can change parts of the world that we live in. So, why would you believe that things in the atmosphere have no effect on you? Why are these, centuries of thoughts of full moons and how they can make you crazy and all that kind of stuff? It's there for a reason. We do not live in a silo here on Earth. We're part of an atmosphere. So, this is why we do need to take into account what's kind of going on around us, not to predict every aspect of our life, but just to kind of take that as one piece of this holistic puzzle. So, Pluto in Capricorn was where we were in 2008 to 2023 or 24. I think we were part of 24 in there. So, this Pluto is a planet and it was in the sign of Capricorn. So it exposed governments, exposed corporations, patriarchy, hierarchy, institutional rot, the boys club, right? So this is that whole unearthing that I was talking about. Now we're in this Pluto age of Aquarius. It began in 2024. So that exposes illusion, exposes false identity, celebrity culture, influencer culture, spiritual bypassing, all that fake spiritual shit. Come on, there's a lot of fakes out there, my friends. Exposes corruption and exposes everything that lacks integrity. So, the last time Pluto was in Aquarius I have the dates actually, it was 1777 to 1798. During this era was the American Revolution, the French Revolution, the collapse of monarchies, the rise of individual rights, public rejecting illusion, and the overthrow of corrupted power. So, history doesn't repeat itself, but it can rhyme, mimic, have some changes and differences. Of course, we've evolved. I'm just making the connection. Now, there are a lot of these greats in the I'm going to call them in the spiritual realm. I do follow Bashar, Lee Harris energy. There's, different intuitive predictions. So Bashar says as the frequency rises on the planet, anything that's out of alignment will collapse. And you cannot maintain a lower frequency identity in a higher frequency reality. And I'm going to get to how we can get there individually to contribute to a world that is a higher frequency. Lee Harris, 2024 to 2026 is the era of truth waves. Integrity becomes magnetic. By the end of 2026, everything lacking integrity will be revealed. This is not prophecy, it's pattern recognition. And we've seen a lot of this stuff coming up, you guys. Everything happens for a reason, that saying. So, science and psychology, why people are seeing it now. Cognitive dissonance collapse. The brain can't maintain illusions under contradiction. Pattern recognition activation. People finally see what was always there. You kind of have these aha moments. Legitimacy collapse. Institutions lose trust when behavior contradicts image. Then there's collective trauma to a collective awakening. COVID accelerated awareness, not for everyone, but for many. I know it did for me. I saw things in a different way. Nervous system awakening. People can feel when something is off. And this is the thing I always say. While we all have certain gifts that we come here with, I believe that every single one of us has so much power within us. And I've learned this from some people who I have been connected with for quite a while, for the last couple of years, who teach you how to find that power within you. We all have intuitive abilities, all of us. It's just, are we dialing in on that frequency or not? So discernment is the new human skill. People now sense who is real, who's performing, who's manipulating, who's numbing, who's bypassing, who's aligned, and who is out of integrity. Discernment is the new intelligence, and integrity is the new currency. Not everyone's there, because remember, if you built your life on that foundation that wasn't solid, that's going to show now. Personal identity collapse, how this shows up in real life. Relationships ending, friendships dissolving, careers shifting, family dynamics changing, masks are falling, people revealing their true character, hidden motives surfacing, internal patterns breaking. The same forces that are collapsing institutions are also collapsing your own personal illusions. Now, I mention her all the time. I've recorded with her many times. I've known her for a couple years, and I know her partner as well, Asim. Brenda Ferrugia, she talks a lot about the return to your own essence, really. Brenda actually helps people uncover their true essence, bring more light onto the planet. So you're going to have to look her up. She also works on a corporate level. There's, I'm going to say, all of that surface corporate stuff is falling away, and corporations are going to look to people more like Brenda for concrete change in the workplace. She has all those skills. Just look her up, sobrilliant.ca. Essence matters more than identity in the new world. And people who do the inner work will rise, and people who avoid that inner work will collapse. It's just the way of the new world, my friends. But what's going to collapse? This is the new world. Illusion, performance, manipulation, secrecy, hierarchy, the boys club. That's for fucking sure. Money-based identity. If your identity is based on money and you were nothing before because you had no foundation, you're going to be nothing again. Bypassing. That's going to be gone. No more bypassing. Corruption. What will rise is integrity, authenticity, emotional intelligence, but I mean like deep emotional intelligence, not the fluffy stuff. Discernment. I'm talking about, by the way, I'm talking about stuff that Brenda teaches. Okay. Nervous system regulation. I've done a lot of podcasts on that. Accountability, truth, transparency, true essence of who you are. So, how to move forward. Number one, strengthen your nervous system, because the stronger you are in your entire nervous system, the better you're going to be in your own life. I've recorded so much about this. Build true emotional intelligence. And by that, I'm talking about break those limiting beliefs, those negative beliefs. Do some of the real deep self-awareness work. Practice discernment. Do shadow work. Understand your triggers. Understand them instead of acting on them and acting out as a result. Stop numbing. Stop performing. Stop bypassing. Build identity from your essence, not your optics. Surround yourself with aligned people. Let what falls away fall away and trust what remains. I have set so many intentions in my life in the last year. And I'm going to say, I have never felt more powerful from right here, from within me, than I do right now. And I think it's going to just keep growing. Meaning what fell away for a reason. And I'm so much lighter as a result, as hard as it could be initially. So I'm going to close because I actually gave you a few ideas. I gave you a resource. Get in touch with Brenda. You'll love her. The world is not falling apart. And I want to make that clear because this whole doom and gloom outlook and, you know, I think we have to really be careful of falling into a place of fear, which I think a lot of people were in during the pandemic. Fear was massive. We have to be careful. And the more internal work we do, the more we're going to realize, oh, okay, I'm in fear. And it's not about pushing it down or pushing it away or numbing it. It's about realizing you're there and then trying to figure out, why am I here? I'm okay to feel this. I'm going to process it. The world is falling into truth. Everything built on illusion is collapsing. Everything built on integrity is rising. If you are living in integrity, you have nothing to fear from any reveal. You actually are the reveal. If this resonated with you, please share it. I'm asking you to go ahead and rate it, review it on Spotify, on Apple, because I've been sitting here doing this work for a very long time. But the fact is that I need those of you who are listening to rise up and support those who are doing their best to create a world that is a better place. I thank you. I am grateful for you, and I appreciate you listening. Have a great week. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Be sure to share it with someone you know might benefit. And always remember, when you rate, review, subscribe, you help to support my content and help me to keep going and bringing these conversations to you each and every week. Join me next week for a new topic, new guest, new exciting conversations to help you live your best life.